Just recently, there's been a massive comeback of 70s music and fashion, and also films, particularly Blaxploitation, which was a major hit in the 70s. Well, with me is someone who knows all about Blaxploitation, and that is Mason Storm. Mason, you've actually produced a magazine. Why is it such a popular item, so much so that you want to produce something like that?
I tend to think it's a criminally ignored genre in movies. People tend, in this sort of PC 90s, people don't really want to mention it, you know, that these films were so popular. I mean, in their time, these films were massive, you know, they were the blockbusters of their day, but suddenly nobody wants to know anything about them, you know, they're ignored, and it's only occasionally that you start to see them now coming up on television. Slaughter was one of the biggest ones. Slaughter was the first true blaxploitation film. Shaft appeared not long after Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. Sweet Sweetback was a real low-budget blaxploitation film. It was about a male prostitute who was on the run for the police. But I mean, when you see it's low budget. It's unlike any other sort of mainstream movie. Shaft was obviously a big success. We don't really need to mention that. I mean, everybody is aware of the tune, the style, the intro. Superfly came after that, which was a story of a pimp, and that caused a furore because suddenly, you know, there was a film of this pimp who was beating the police and who was getting away with money, which was unheard of. And then came Slaughter, and Slaughter was made by American International Pictures, and what they'd set out to do is to make a film purely to exploit the black cinema goers, the urban audience. But I mean, Slaughter did that, and it was fantastic. It was all action. There was no extra bits in it at all. Just non-stop action, good music, and it's one of the all-time classics, of course, starring the mighty Jim Brown. I mean, Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Pam Grier, I mean, the three of them virtually were the core of the blaxploitation scene. And Fred Williamson made Black Caesar, and the other one that Bravo was showing, the Hell Up in Harlem.
Don't shoot first. Whatever you do, stay cool.
Blackula was something a little bit different, wasn't it?
Blackula was, at the time, blaxploitation was starting to get a bit boring. People were fed up with pimps, private eyes, dope pushers, prostitutes. It was all getting a bit stale. And at this time, that's when it really took on the exploitation and blaxploitation, because people were then taking old genre films, like horror films, whacking a few afros on, some wacky fashions and a bit of jive talk, and punting it out to an audience as a blaxploitation horror film.
Has there been any opposition to trying to remake blaxploitation films?
Well, believe it or not, Shaft is up for a remake, which seems odd. MGM are at the moment trying to find a star. Supposedly, John Singleton, who directed Boys in the Hood, is lined up to direct it. But Wesley Snipes is the name that's being bandied about, but there's no firm word yet.
Now, what about your magazine? When did that actually kick off? When did you start doing that?
It roughly takes about a year for an issue, so by the time I'm getting an issue out with my other commitments and all that, it's slightly, you know, last year when I mentioned that Original Gangsters was just coming out, and now this year I've got a new edition coming out, and it's mentioning a lot of the other films that the stars have been in since, like Jim Brown was in Mars Attacks, and Pam Grier, Foxy Brown herself, is all set to appear in the new Quentin Tarantino film, which is called Jackie Brown, so that should drag the action back. So I'm hoping it will have a knock-on effect with the magazine, because at the moment, you know, it's a genre that needs a bit more attention, and that's why I've picked it. Plus, I love the films. They're brilliant. Funk, flares and fashion.
Absolutely, and if anyone's interested in the Blaxploitation, you can actually find the details on our website. So hopefully you might be hearing from a few people.
Definitely.
Well, here's a thrill for you.